Welcome back. We are discussing the chapter linear transformation, and so far we have defined kernel and the range of the transformation. Okay, and in the previous class we have discussed the definition of dimension of kernel of T, which is a subspace of the domain of the linear transformation, and the dimension of range of T, which is a subspace of codomain of the linear transformation. So if for this dimension to be exist and to be finite, only the sufficient condition that we required is that this V have to be a finite dimensional. In that case, we can talk about the dimension of kernel of T, dimension of range of T, and the terminology that we use for this particular terms is the nullity of T and the rank of T respectively, and these are the notations that we prefer uh, as a standard notation. Okay, so in this today's session, in this particular video, we will discuss one of the important theorem in linear algebra, that's called as the rank nullity theorem, which exhibit the relation between the dimension of V, rank, and the nullity of the given linear transformation. Okay, so to talk about this, definitely we want V to be a finite dimensional. Okay, and you are given T from V to V to W, a linear transformation. Okay, then it says that the dimension of V is same as the dimension of kernel of T plus dimension of range of T. That is, dimension of V is the sum of the nullity of T and the rank of T. Okay, now this theorem is quite useful to actually determine the rank of the matrix or the nullity of the matrix, knowing one of this. Okay, so if you know the dimension of V, then you know that the sum of that would be that would be partitioned as the nullity and the rank. Okay, and from there you need to determine, if you know the dimension of kernel of T, then you can very easily determine the dimension of range of T. If you know the dimension of range of T, you can easily determine the dimension of kernel of T. Okay, so let's try to prove this proof. So first of all, what is given is that the dimension of V is finite. Let me take the dimension of V as a natural number n. Okay, and therefore dimension of k of T and dimension of range of T are finite. Okay, so let's to get this relation, see, the idea will be very simple. Since I know the dimension of V and kernel of T is a subspace of V, the basis for the kernel of T can be extended to form the basis of V. So through that we have the basis for V as well as the basis for kernel of T. Okay, now through this data we need to determine the dimension of V minus dimension of K of T, and so the range of T will have that many element, that is the difference of dimension of V minus dimension of K of T many element in its basis. So that's the whole idea. So basically, through the diagram, this is what we have. You have a set V and you have a set W. So in this set, and there is a linear transformation T. In this particular V, you have so called as the kernel of T. Okay, and in this you have range of T. We are not given anything about the dimension of W. It may be finite, it may be infinite. What we are given is that this is a finite dimension. Okay, and therefore dimension of kt, dimension of this have to be finite. So what I'll do, I'll start with the basis of this kernel of T, as it's a subspace of V. Its basis can be extended to form the basis of V using the extension theorem. So that is the whole idea. Okay, now when I say it's a basis for a kernel of T, definitely these elements are coming from kernel of T. Okay, and you know the definition of kernel of T. Okay, and through this we will have now the basis of kernel of T and the basis for V. So we can compute the dimension of V minus dimension of kernel of T, that through that relation that should be same as the dimension of range of T, and therefore we would produce that many number of elements in the basis of range of T. I mean, we would construct that set and we will claim that it's a basis for the range of T. Okay, so let's proceed. So let, I'll take it as B1, x1, x2, this goes on till x, I'll take till xn. This is a basis for kernel of T. So definitely this m has to be less than or equal to n, as I'm saying that the dimension of V is equal to n. Okay, so now this basis can be extended to form the basis for V, and V has n, the basis for V has n element. Okay, so by extension theorem, S kt is a subspace, not only a subset of V. We extend B1 to form basis of V. Okay, so this will contain n minus m additional element, extra element. So let B equal to, I'm taking this as B. Okay. So it first m element will remain same, and then the extension part, I'll call it as say xm plus 1, xm plus 2. So this will be n minus m element, as the basis of V should contain n element. This will go till xn. Okay, so this are m minus, sorry, n minus ml. Okay, fine. So this be a basis for V. Okay, so now dimension of V minus dimension of kernel of T is same as dimension of V is exactly n, and the dimension of kernel of T is m. Okay, so by the above formula we need to show that this is exactly the dimension of range of T, and so what we will have is that we will take n minus m element as a subset of R of T, and we will claim that it's a basis. Now what are those n minus m element, or from where do we construct this set of subset of R of T containing n minus element? So that hinge we get from here. Okay, so this additional n minus m element should give rise to the dimension of R of T. Okay, but we cannot directly take exactly this as the element, because this is coming from V, this is a part of V, right? So we want it from range of T. So what you will have to do, you will have to simply take the images through T of this elements, and you will have to claim that it forms a basis for range of T. Okay, so let, I'll call this as B2. Okay, so these are the n minus m element. I won't take it directly, I'll take it the image so that it becomes the subset of R of t. So t of xm plus 1 comma t of xm plus 2, and this goes on till t of xn, okay, be a subset of R of t. Okay. So now the claim is clear. We will prove that this B2 is a basis for R of t. So if we prove that, then we are done, because this will have n minus element, so therefore that will form the dimension of R of t, and therefore dimension of V minus dimension of kernel of t will be same as the dimension of R of t, which would imply that the dimension of V is dimension of k of t plus dimension of R of t. Okay. So to show that this is a basis, two things we need to prove. First, we will prove that B2 is linearly independent in R of t. So how to show that this is linearly independent? So let us possible, suppose there are m minus n scalars such that the linear combination with this element is a zero vector. When I say zero vector, the zero vector will be 0 from R of t, which is from W. Okay. So I'll use this notation since we are enumerating this from m plus 1 to n onwards. I'll say gamma m plus 1, gamma m plus 2, and this goes on till gamma n belongs to R, such that gamma m plus 1 t of xm plus 1 plus gamma m plus 2 t of xm plus 2, and this sum goes on till gamma n t of xn is equal to 0 vector, right? So what I need to show, that the only possible choice for this gammas is that they are 0. Okay, and how to prove this? We apply the definition of linear transformation. Being this t is a linear transformation, I can write down this, I can take this scalar. So we know that t of alpha x is same as alpha into t of x. So I can take this gamma m plus 1 inside. So you have gamma m plus 1 xm plus 1. This would be same as t of gamma m plus 2 xm plus 2, and like that you will have t of gamma n xn is equal to 0. Okay. Now again we will use the other property. You know that t of x plus y is same as t of x plus y, and this can be extended for the finite vectors also. So we have m minus n vectors here, so this can be written as t of this vector plus this vector, and this goes on till this vector, gamma m plus 1 xm plus 1 plus gamma m plus 2 xm plus 2, and this sum will go on till gamma n xn is equal to 0. So when you say that t of certain vector is equal to 0, what immediately comes to your mind is that this vector should belongs to kernel of t as per the definition of kernel of t, because you know that this is the vector coming from V as xm plus 1 xm plus 2, this goes on till xn. These are the vectors that is a part of the basis of V. So obviously these are the vectors coming from V, and so that the linear combination will also be coming from V. So this is the vector in V such that the image is equal to 0, which means that this vector have to belongs to kernel of t by the definition of kernel of t, because every such vector whose t of x is equal to 0 is a part of kernel of t. So this implies that gamma m plus 1 xm plus 1 plus gamma m plus 2 xm plus 2 gamma n xn belongs to kernel of t. See, this is how we are going to proceed until we show that all these gammas are equal to 0. Okay, so how would you proceed from this step? Now one thing you know that we have a basis for kernel of t. So this subspace will be spanned by its basis, and what is its basis? Its basis is B1. Okay, so that means this vector belongs to linear span of B1. So therefore this can be written as the linear combinations of the vectors of B1. And what is B1? B1 is the vector consisting x1, x2 till xn. So therefore what I can say that thus there exist some scalars, m scalars, I'll call it as alpha 1, alpha 2, and this goes on till alpha m belongs to R, such that this vector gamma m plus 1 xm plus 1 plus gamma m plus 2 xm plus 2, and this goes on till gamma n xn is equal to the linear combinations of vectors of B1. So alpha 1 x1 plus alpha 2 x2, and this goes on till alpha n xn. So as of now I have used the fact that B1 is the basis for kernel of T. So far we haven't used the fact that B is the basis for V. So now you have an opportunity to use the fact that B is the basis. How would you do that? See, you keep this left hand side as it is, you take this to the other side, or you may do it vice versa, you may do it the other way around, that is you keep this left hand side to the right hand side and equate the other side equal to 0. So what we will have, I'll take this here, in fact I'll put it first, minus alpha 1 x1 plus minus alpha 2 x2, this goes on till minus alpha m xm. Okay, and now this as it is, gamma m plus 1 xm plus 1, and this sum goes on till gamma n xn is equal to, now this is a 0 vector from V, okay, is equal to 0. So now what exactly you have? You have a linear combinations of the vector from B, that is the extension basis, because B contains the vector x1, x2 till xm and xm plus 1, xm plus 2 till xn. So you have exactly the linear combinations of the vectors from B, and B is a basis for B, so therefore B is a linearly independent set, and therefore whenever such thing happens, you know the scalars corresponding to the vectors have to be equal to 0. So this implies that alpha 1 is same as minus alpha 2, and this goes on till minus alpha m is equal to 0, and we wanted to actually show only that this gamma i's are 0. So gamma m plus 1 till gamma m plus 2, and this goes on till gamma n is equal to 0, right? So this is what we wanted to show. So we have proved our claim, and therefore, okay, the reason here is that as B is linearly independent. So this is enough to say that the set B2, I hope I am using the correct notation, yes, B2 is linearly independent from R of T. Next thing that we have to show is that this B2 spans whole of R of T. So we show that linear span of B2 is equal to R of T. Okay. So how do you show that these two sets are equal? First I will show that linear span of B2 is a subset of R of T, and that's obvious because if I take an element in linear span of B2, then that element should be the linear combinations of vectors of B2, right? So this means that x is equal to what is B2? Okay, B2 we know it's T of xm plus 1, T of xm plus 2, and this goes on till T of xn. So we will have a scalar, I'll use beta m plus 1 T of xm plus 1, and this goes on till beta n txn, okay, where all this beta m plus 1 till beta n are in Rn. I running from m plus 1 to n. Okay, which means that x is equal to, now once again I use the definition, this can be written as T of beta m plus 1 xm plus 1 plus this goes on till beta n xn, right? And what do you know about this vector? We know that xn plus 1 till xn is a part of a basis of V, and therefore these elements are coming from V. So once again, this linear combination comes from V. So once this linear combination comes from V, you understand that this x is written as T of the elements of V, which means that x as this x, I mean this x is the image of some element in V, and hence I can say that x belongs to R of t. Okay, so this implies that x belongs to R of t as this element, that is beta m plus 1 x m plus 1, this goes on till beta n x and belongs to V. Okay, so this proves that L of B2 is a subset of R of t. That's the first part. Now we have to show the other way around. So to show the other way around, I'll have to take an element from R of t. I'll use the notation y belongs to R of t. What does this mean by the definition of R of t? This means that there exists an element in V, I'll call it as x, such that t of this x is equal to y, or y is equal to t of x. Okay, now note that x belongs to V, which is spanned by the basis of V, that is L of B. Okay, and the basis contain the element x1, x2 till xn, which means that this x can be written as, okay, what is the notation that I can use here now? Say c1 x1 plus c2 x2, and this goes on till cm xm, sorry m, cm plus 1 xm plus 1, and this goes on till the sum cn xn. Okay, for some ci coming from R and I is varying from 1 to n. Okay, so therefore y, which is same as t of x, it will be same as t of this c1 x1 plus c2 x2, and this goes on till cm xm plus cm plus 1 xm plus 1, and this goes on till cn xn. See, you should not forget your claim. You need to show that this y belongs to R of t, right? Y belongs to L of B2. So that means you should be able to express this y as the linear combinations of vectors of B2. Okay, that is, you should be able to write down this y as, say, some scalar into t of xm plus 1 plus some scalar into t of xm plus 2, and this goes on till some scalar into t of xn, right? So we will split this accordingly. What I'll do is that I'll split this, I'll consider this as one vector and this as another vector. So this is of the form t of x plus y, and therefore we can split this as plus t of cm plus 1 xm plus 1, and this goes on till cn xn, right? See, why we are splitting it in this way? Because in fact I wanted to write down this y only as this term, so that this becomes, cm plus 1 t of xm plus 1 plus cm plus 2 t of xm plus 2, and this goes on till cn t of xn. Okay, fine. So that means we are expecting this term to be equal to 0, and this will be equal to 0 provided, don't forget the definition of kernel of t, provided this vector, that is c1 x1 plus c2 x2 plus this goes on till cm xm, belongs to kernel of t, because that's the definition of kernel of t, right? So if this belongs to kernel of t, then definitely t of this vector have to be equal to 0. So you only need to check whether this belongs to kernel of t, right? So But you know that this x1, x2 till xm forms the basis for kernel of T. So definitely these elements will be coming from kernel of T, and this kernel of T is a subspace. Therefore, this linear combination will also belongs to kernel of T. So therefore, this is equal to 0 vector, 0 in W. Okay, and this can be split it out as Cm plus 1, T of xm plus 1 plus Cm plus 2, T of xm plus 2, and this goes on till Cn T of xm. Why this is equal to 0? This is equal to 0 as C1 x1 plus Cm xm belongs to kernel of T, right? So this is enough. 0 plus any vector is again the same vector. So this is same as, once again, Cm plus 1 Tx m plus 1, and this goes on till Cn T of xn as expected, as required. Okay, so we succeeded in showing that this y is a linear combinations of linear combinations of vectors in B2, that is T of xm plus 1, T of xm plus 2 till T of xn, and therefore I can say that this vector belongs to linear span of B. This proves that y, the element, which is from R of T, now is linear span of B. So this proves that R of T is a subset of linear span of B, and therefore I consider this as 2, and therefore run from 1 and 2, I claim that R of T is equal to. So in this way we show that B is a basis for R of T, and therefore the dimension of R of T, that is the rank of T, is nothing but n minus m, which is same as dimension of V minus dimension of K of T, which we have computed earlier, right? So this implies that dimension of V is same as dimension of R of T plus dimension of kernel of T, that is rank plus nullity. Okay, so that's all about the rank nullity theorem. This rank nullity theorem has huge application, and we will see it in the upcoming lectures. Okay, so thank you for watching this complete video on rank nullity, on the proof of rank nullity theorem. If there's any difficulty or doubt, we would solve it in the next online session. I'll wind up this video here.